and thanks for staying on LN 24/7. This is Politics Now. My name is Morno Balagobo in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. We've got a great show for you tonight, so get your friends together, let them come to the couch, and let's discuss politics. First tonight, we'll start with the politics of Nigeria's oil and gas sector. A lot is happening. I pray we have enough time to break it all down for you. But first, our talking point, we will begin to look at the calls for fuel price hike reversal. We'll also look at NNPCL's role in addressing fuel supply price stability and why full implementation of the PIA Act seems difficult. We'll also talk about solutions to challenges of local refining of crude oil. And many thanks to our guest, Abure Kingsley, public affairs analyst who joins us from Abure State, for filling in as my guest was not feeling fine. Abure Kingsley is the founder of Progressive Abure Youths and an advocate of inclusive democracy. Well, later on the show, we will talk about, of course, the trending Labour Party restructuring. Here is a rundown of our talking points. Why Peter Obi dumped Abure. The legality of Abure's sacking, we'll look into that, and way forward in uniting party factions. Even those in the party are saying they are not in a crisis. Well, that's not the reality, but we'll break it down for you in a bit when we come back. Well, joining us to, of course, make sense of all of this is our guest. First, we have Peter Hassan, the Labour Party chieftain. He is the Kaduna Labour Party chairman, and he will be talking to us tonight. Also, Honorable Pastor Haruna F.A., Labour Party chieftain in Lagos, former organizing secretary, Labour Party in Lagos. These two gentlemen will be helping us make sense of what is going down. So stay with us. We'll be right back to get it all sorted out for you. In a bid to resolve the lingering fuel crisis, Vice President Kashim Shettima on Thursday summoned the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Heineken Lokubiri, and the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mel Kyari, and the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu. The Minister of State, Oil, Petroleum Resources, Heineken Lokubiri, says there is availability of petrol despite the scarcity and hike in the price of the product actually. Also, he assured Nigerians that the scarcity being experienced will be over before the weekend, as petrol will be available all across the country. He stated that once the product is available, the price will be stabilized. Let's have a listen to what he said on Thursday.
This sector is deregulated, and we believe that with the availability of products, the price will find its level. What is important is that products are available in the country. And we believe that between now and the weekend, there will be availability of products across the length and breadth of the country.
Now, the summon comes as the minority caucus of the House of Representatives is joining concerns by Nigerians to reverse the recent increase in the prices of petrol, saying that it will no doubt increase the suffering of Nigerians. Well, not just the minority caucus, which actually put out the statement on Thursday saying the unilateral action of increasing the price of premium motor spirit disregards the principles of transparency, accountability, and of course fairness, which should guide decisions affecting the lives of the citizenry. Also, at the upper chamber of the National Assembly, Senate spokesman Yemi Adaramodu, speaking with the Punch on Thursday, said the Senate would investigate complaints from citizens once the National Assembly resumes, and assured Nigerians that relevant committees will be tasked with examining all issues affecting the public, stressing that the Senate was committed to supporting Nigerians during these challenges. Well, joining us virtually from Abure State is public affairs analyst Abure. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is always mine.
All right, so let's get to it. First, your thoughts on how the government has been managing the issue of fuel availability and its pricing. It's been a long time coming, but this time around, Nigerians are feeling the heat.
Yeah, honestly, I think the government, the government have not managed the issues around petroleum very well. There's been so much uncertainties around that industry, and the level of opacity in the NNPCL makes things even much more difficult. Nigerians cannot ascertain what exactly is going on. Don't forget that Dangote came up to make some comments recently around how the petroleum industry is being managed and how his refinery has struggled because of some of these issues and challenges that has refused to go away. So the government have not handled the matter as they should. Like I said, there's so much opacity, and of course you understand that in the petroleum industry you have the upstream sector, you have the downstream sector, and of course there's the midstream sector as well. So looking at all of these sectors, their unique roles in making energy available, making petroleum products available, have left much to be desired. So I believe that this government needs to do a lot, especially in the area of transparency. I don't know if you've taken time to study or research NNPCL financial records. You'll be amazed, you'll be shocked with the level of inconsistency in their financial pronouncements. And that doesn't do well for an agency as big as the NNPCL that is supposed to be transparent, that's supposed to be run with the highest level of professionalism. I mean, what they're doing right now at that industry leaves so much to be desired, I must tell you.
Now, on the issue of pricing, the government has been speaking on behalf of the NNPC, with NNPC owing marketers $6.8 billion due to its subsidy of price. Now, what do you make of this non-clarity and, most importantly, transparency on the part of not just the government, but even the NNPCL? Because the era of we're not paying really doesn't make any sense. Spending when by unanimous clarifications that the NNPC was paying government subsidy for the people, which really doesn't make sense when you look at the PIA Act. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, you've said it all. The confusion is at a very high level. It's at a premium level. I don't think we've ever had this level of confusion in the country, especially in that sector. To control the petroleum industry, previous governments have tried to manage in the policies in the industry and all the other programs and activities around that industry. But this government have failed to stamp its foot on the ground and give clarity as to how things are done, who is responsible for what. And again, you remember that the last government, talking about the government of President Muhammadu Buhari, former president actually, did introduce the PIA, he did sign the PIA bill into law. And that was supposed to usher in a new dispensation in the administration of the NNPCL, and of course, regulation of the industry. So the question will be, what has happened with that act? Why, has this government not executed or implemented the provisions, of that law? Because Nigerians were really excited when that PIA Act. Most Nigerians were excited when that PIA Act was established and when the president signed the bill into law. So the PIA was supposed to be the solution ground for this agency to, build on and make tremendous, achieve tremendous results, but that hasn't happened. And I think that this is time for them to go back to the books and study the work that's been done, in that. If you do your work very well, I mean, if you study that act very well, you find that Nigerians, especially those involved in crafting that bill and making sure that it was signed into law, had good intentions. And if those provisions, especially the centralization of the mechanism, the functionality of the NNPCL to delineate responsibilities to different arms, talking about the commission and the authority as provided by the act, that was actually designed to make governance in that industry much more effective. But that hasn't happened, and that is the reason why we see this back and forth, because truth will prevail unless we confront these issues that has been dealt with over time, that this PIA tried to address. I mean, the government will continue to struggle. And I think what they need to do now, the major advice I have to give to them, is to come out clean and tell Nigerians the true state of things. Like you're saying, we don't know whether we're still paying subsidy. We don't know how much, we pay as first subsidy. Then there's another issue around, refineries in Malta and all of that. So these controversies does not help. And I do think at this point, the president needs to really make very serious statement with regards to NNPCL and how it's managed. Some people need to lose their jobs because this industry is one industry that affects Nigerians. You know that energy is a public good. And for the fact that we've not transitioned into the green era, we are still, of course, operating with of course, mostly combustion engines that make use of premium motoring spirit, whether it is in the manufacturing industry or every other place you want to look at. You will find that Nigerians make use of this premium motoring spirit, which is refined from crude under the direct supervision of NNPCL. So this is a very important. It's a very, 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 very important industry that the government needs to pay attention to.
All right, Abure. Now, still on the PIA Act, you recall that we as Nigerians were so excited when President Muhammadu Buhari signed this back in 2021. But do you think that this administration is trying to play it safe? Because we're talking about the politics of the Nigerian oil and gas sector. Because NNPC has said that the price of the product is not what we are actually getting at the moment. So do you think government is playing it safe because of the harsh reality of what the true price of fuel actually costs? We don't know that. So what are your thoughts?
I mean, politics has affected the oil and gas industry so much. In fact, there's so much politics. There's more politics in the petroleum industry than business, because as far as I'm concerned, the petroleum industry is actually supposed to be, a business environment where, like you're saying, it's all about production and management of products. Anything outside that is just unnecessary distraction. The NNPCL is supposed to function as a product-driven company, that will focus on delivering quality products at the best possible price, and of course in a transparent manner. But there's been so much politicking. Most politicians have turned the NNPC into a cash cow, where they suck, resources out of the country, and nobody holds them accountable. And this is the problem. I think that this is the time that the president needs to stamp his foot on the ground and say, look, we have to get it right in this industry to prevent this industry from total collapse. Because if we continue with the rate we're going, things will go left, and we don't want that to happen. So the government needs to make sure that real autocrats, people who are experienced in the upstream, midstream, and downstream sector management and business administration, to come into that field and make the necessary changes. And of course, the government must also give them the freedom to make the necessary structural adjustments that is needed to strengthen that company. And of course, that from what we've learned, again, looking at what has happened with the unbundling of NEPA and some of these other agencies for the communication industry, opening it up for investment, private investment, you see that the level of efficiency in that industry has, improved. So I think that this is something that this government needs to really, really pay attention to. And with the thing that do not have private investors coming into this to this field to play. So the government needs to sit back and play their role as a regulatory system, more or less, trying to ensure that every player in the field gets the perfect business environment to operate without trying to be, at the helm and of course trying to run the business, because it has not worked. Politicians should understand that their role is to play politics and, of course, be on the policy side or on the legal side, whatever side they want to play. But in this field, in terms of the petroleum industry, we need business-minded people, business-oriented people who understand the tenets of oil business, who understand how the downstream, midstream, and upstream sector function in similar climes to make the necessary adjustments that is required, and of course implement some of these regulations, some of these recommendations that we have in the BIA.
All right, Deberechi, let's get some more information. Now, I do recall the NNPC made it known its role as the sole importer of petrol was not a deliberate decision, but rather a response to market conditions. And still talking about Mr. Shegun explaining that achieving a stable fuel supply and price would require ideal market conditions, including a more liquid foreign exchange market. But the foreign exchange market currently is the doing of this administration. So why did the NNPC suspend the sale of Premier Motor Spirit? Why? Most especially to the independent marketers after it had hiked the prices of the product on Tuesday. Now, our reports reveal the independent marketers sold the product for as much as 1,200 naira and 1,300 naira per litre in some states following the upward review of the prices. And they wondered why the national oil firm would suspend the sale of petrol to marketers to take without any official communication to put them in the loop, even when the marketers had paid for the product over 2 months ago, talking about solving a problem. And it was also learned, Deberechi, that NNPC usually prioritized major marketers, while IPMAN members resorted to private depot owners who sold at a higher price, which affects the prices of the product, which leads to a wide gap between the prices offered by both categories of marketers. This is a huge problem, but the people who will suffer is definitely Nigeria. So coming back to you, Deberechi, why should the NNPC suspend the sale of fuel to IPMAN after hiking the price? Because for a lot of people, this really does not, it's not coherent in terms of wanting to solve the problem of availability of the product.
Yeah, I mean, again, it speaks to what I said before. There's so much, I don't want to use the term gambling, but there's so much guessworking going on, so, and that's the reason why, I mean, that is partly because of the inconsistency in policy implementation. And of course, the inability of those who are making the main decisions at the NNPC to, abide by the provisions of the PIA, which of course gives clarity to what needs to be done for the administration of NNPC and of course management of this scarce mineral resource to be improved. So I think that all of this going on, try this, try that, it has not helped. Again, I talk about the place of evidence and data. And that's the reason why, I've mentioned the PIA several times, because Nigerians were involved in the process of developing that bill, and of course the process of signing it into law. There were so many public engagements, and of course we had this back and forth and argument. But at the end of the day, we came up with something, and the National Assembly came up with something that the president saw value in and signed into law. So I think that that implementation has to start. Yes, I mean it needs to start yesterday. But this is the time for that decision to be made, to ensure that we don't go into all of these guess working, because in a serious country like Nigeria, with the destiny of over 200 million people at stake, you don't go about doing guesswork. You make your decisions based on evidence, based on sufficient data, and these decisions have to be top-notch. That's the reason why the government is always encouraged to go for the best heads, across the country, and ensure that people who understand how things run are actually engaged, so that we don't get to see all of this guessworking. But I think that this is the time for that decision to be taken, for the leadership, for the management of the NNPCL to be reshuffled, so that we'll get in more people who have the energy, who have the drive, who have the passion to make a difference in that industry operate without any restriction.
All right, Abure. Now, away from the price of availability of the product, let's shift to the conversation of the Dangote Group, the back and forth between them and NNPC. Now, recently, the Dangote Group denied reports that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited is currently lifting petrol from its refinery at a price of 897 naira per litre. A statement on Thursday by the group's chief branding and communication officer, Anthony Chejine, said that the company cannot fix the price of petrol as it has yet to finalize its arrangement with the NNPCL. And the reactions to this development has been quite funny. But just letting for you to tell us what you think about this back and forth between Dangote and the NNPC, because the public perception out there now is like the NNPC doesn't really want the Dangote to kick off fully like the Muhammadu Buhari administration was, pushing it to be. And though the president has, of course, granted a form of help to the local refiners that they should get crude oil, in Nigerian currency, so to speak. So, what are your thoughts in all of this?
I mean, it's embarrassing. I have to be very honest with you. It's very, very embarrassing. It's a very embarrassing situation because this is the federal government of Nigeria. And you're talking about, again, the biggest investor in this industry in the whole continent of Africa. I'm talking about Aliko Dangote. This back and forth will not help, because they will keep putting the country in bad light. And a government that is always talking about wooing investors to come and invest in the country, a government that is focused on improving our FDI, was always telling investors that we have one of the best investment climates in Africa, cannot turn around to go into this straight head-on collision with one of the biggest investors in the country. I think that this is something that should not be seen. It should not be seen. It should not happen. If there are issues, if there are some non-conformities and challenges, these parties should sit and sort them out. Alhaji Dangote is a Nigerian. He is a Nigerian investor. He's a citizen of this country. And the federal government of Nigeria is there to protect the interests of the citizens of this country. So if anything goes wrong, or if anything has gone wrong, it is only expedient for both parties to meet behind closed doors and iron issues out. This public, engagement, this back and forth going on. I mean, it doesn't help. It doesn't help the country, and of course, it doesn't also help Dangote as an investor, because when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. As both parties continue to fight and drag themselves on and on, Nigerians will suffer the consequences, because again, this is a very critical commodity that virtually every citizen makes use of directly or indirectly. So they need to sort these things out, and the earlier they do that, the better.
Juba Debirichi, thank you so much for being with us tonight on Politics Now.
Thank you so much, man. The pleasure is mine as always.
Okay, we've got to move on with the show. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at what's going on in the Labour Party. Do stay with us.
What makes the political system what it is today? What are the recurring issues?
Order.
The tussle for power.
An extremely problematic area.
The tension. The instability of the system. Join Ellen 24/7 as we take you inside the local and international political arena in the world of politics.
Apologize for saying that I was corrupt.
I'm not here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
Watch Politics Now on Ellen 24/7.
Don't miss Politics Now on LN 24/7.
Many thanks, and glad to know you're still on to Politics Now right here on LN 24/7. This time around, let's take a look at what some people are calling restructuring in the Labour Party. First, we'll look at why Peter Obi dumped Abure, the legality of Abure's sacking, and way forward in uniting the party factions. It's pretty going to be interesting. Tonight, we'll be hearing from Pastor Haruna Efe from the Labour Party in Lagos, and also Peter Hassan from the Labour Party in Kaduna State, from different factions, I must say. So let's break it all down. Now, the Labour Party, which has been in existence for several years, became a major opposition party last year after its presidential candidate, Mr. Obi, led the party to the third position in the general election, a feat that many people did not think they would be able to, get to. Well, the party has witnessed a leadership crisis following the fallout between Mr. Abure and the NLC, which led to the NLC picketing the party's national headquarters. The NLC, led by the chairperson of its political commission, Theophilus Undubuaku, had demanded the resignation of Mr. Abure, whom it said was not properly elected. Now, it accused Mr. Abure of proposing a secret national convention in Umuahia, where he would be re-elected as the national chairperson of the party to continue running the party as a sole administrator. A national convention was later held in Nnewi. We covered it right here on Politics Now, where Mr. Abure was re-elected as the party's national chairperson. However, the NLC rejected his election, describing the exercise as illegal. Now, both the NLC and the TUC boycotted that convention, leaving their slots in the executive vacant. And the two labor unions, however, attended the meeting, which was convened by Governor Otti on Wednesday, and nominated representatives to the new caretaker committee, of course, where Nigeria's former Minister of Finance, Nena D. Usman, has emerged as the chairperson of the Labour Party caretaker committee, and she was appointed to the position at the party's National Executive Council NEC Extended Stakeholders Meeting, which of course held at the government house in Abia State. Now, however, the controversial chairman of the party, Julius Abure, has disassociated himself and his executives from Wednesday's meeting and said he will not recognize the caretaker committee. And the former Senate Minority Leader, Darlington Wokocha, has appointed the caretaker committee secretary and other members of the caretaker committee who were selected to represent various interest groups, including the Nigerian Labour Congress, the Trade Union Congress, and Senate House of Representatives, House of Assembly, and governorship candidates in the last election. The 29-member caretaker committee will facilitate the election of a new party leadership within 90 days. The question is, will there be peace for that to happen? Well, the committee's terms of reference include ensuring the conduct of world, local government, and state congresses and the national convention as soon as possible in line with the party's constitution. Now, according to the reports, Governor Alex Otti of Abia State convened the meeting to address the party's challenges and chart a way forward. This is one of the things that we've been talking about almost on every political program, that the opposition political parties need to wake up to their responsibility. And do recall that Kenneth, who was spokesperson for Peter Obi, had challenged the fact that his candidate was not doing anything to kind of move things forward for the party. Well, Governor Otti at the meeting said that the tenure of the National Working Committee of the party, headed by Julius Abure, had elapsed since the 10th of June. He urged the party leaders to work together to resolve the internal problems of the party. Well, in his remark at the event, Peter Obi, the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, said that the caretaker committee must adhere to the established guidelines to save the party from collapse. Well, let's have a listen to what he said, and then hopefully we can break it down.
And when he says he goes through the law, or he does what is right, I believe him. Because I know he consulted and everything. So, we're not here, like he said, all we're doing here is to continue the exercise of building. We're not here to dissolve, we're not here to suspend or sack anybody. And like I always say, even in this new one we're doing, whatever we're going to do in future, everybody, including those who are not were part of yesterday, can participate. Everybody is free. We're not asking anybody. We just want to do it properly. So if you're a chairman in a state, you want to contest again, we'll vote for you or vote against you, whichever one. We're not saying you're no longer qualified. It's just simple. It's just that we have to do it properly. That's what has been stated here. So I thank all of you, all of us that are gathered here. It's not going to be easy. Even after this meeting, we will still continue with meetings, reconciliations, everything. But we need to be on the right path.
Meanwhile, Mr. Abure has dissociated himself from the meeting. Abure, for the spokesperson of the Abure-led executives, declared the outcome of the Umuahia meeting as illegal and urging the public to disregard it. Well, Pastor Haruna joins us via video call from Lagos. He is a member of the Labour Party in Lagos State. Thank you so much, Pastor Haruna, for being with us on the show tonight.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, what is going on in your party? You have the NLC-TUC faction banding with Peter Obi against Abure. That actually helped him in the last general elections, and there's been so much pressure on Peter Obi to be a uniting force in the party as compared to what you see in what's going on in the People's Democratic Party. You are, of course, I would say someone who will not really take sides. But let's get to the nitty-gritty of this matter. What are your thoughts?
The party is not in crisis. What is happening is not a struggle, but rather it is the struggle by one man who does not want to leave a position that is not meant for him. This is one man trying to hold on to power for selfish reasons. This is Abure trying to fight against all odds, to hold on to power as a result of, one, the gains that he has made personally. 2, they said power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Number 3, I also feel that he is trying to make sure that he remains so that his atrocities will not come to light. I think that is what is at play here. In the first place, Julius Abure was never, ever elected in the Labour Party as a Labour Party chairman. He was not. He coerced himself into that position. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Now, by the arrangement and agreement that was reached between INEC, the party, and the other stakeholders, Abure's tenure ended June 9th, 2024. His tenure ended on June 9th, 2024. And because he knew his tenure had come to an end, he tried as much as possible to maneuver and try to hold an illegal convention, which by every standard, it is very illegal. He held that, as long as we are concerned, that is not a convention. That was just a get-together of himself and his cronies. And that happened at, Nnewi. So even INEC contravenes the plan of the federal, which also contravenes the provisions of the constitution of the Labour Party. So what happened in Umuahia day before yesterday is because there cannot be vacuum in National Caretaker Committee of the party was inaugurated in Umuahia day before yesterday, Wednesday, and that is 4th of September 2024. And they've been given the mandate to run an all-inclusive Congress from the ward level to the DAs, and then have a state Congress in all the 36 states, including Abuja, and also run and organize inclusive and expansive convention for the party. In these congresses and convention, we will now have our elected leaders of the party. So that is what is happening. So, like I said earlier, Labour Party is not in crisis, but this is just one man trying to use his cronies and his stooges to see how far he can go. But unfortunately for him, it's over.
Now, it's funny how your colleagues in the party, and not just in the Labour Party, but even in the PDP, are so skeptical of the word crisis. When we say party is in crisis, what we're trying to say is that a lot of your members are not in consonance with whatever it is that you need to do and you need to get right about your party, because you are saying that he was not elected and others are saying that he was re-elected in Nnewi. So how did all of a sudden his tenure expire? But let's talk about the legality of whether he can be removed or not, because he's still laying claim to the leadership of the party. And this is surprising given the fact that he and Peter Obi, they were all through the heat of the election tussle at the court. So help us make sense of what's going on.
Peter Obi did not have Abure removed. The meeting that happened in Umuahia was convened by the highest political leader of the party, in person of Governor Alex Oti, His Excellency, the governor of Abia State. He converged that particular meeting. All elected members of the party, both at national assemblies and state assemblies, were there present. other stakeholders were there present. These people are the leaders of the party, and they have spoken. And all of us, members of the party, we know by the party's constitution that these people have the power to convey such meeting, and to also have the caretaker committee set up. So that is what happened. So for those who are saying P2B, as a matter of fact, the issues that P2B had with a lot of people in the party, including Barrister Kenneth Okonkwo, who was his spokesperson in his campaign, the issue we all had with His Excellency Peter Obi was the fact that he was not taking a stand in the issue of Abure's illegality. And Peter Obi continued to say that he cannot take a stand because he is not the leader of the party by the constitution. He has said that severally. So the person who has the power to do that has done that. And he did not do it by himself. He conveyed the appropriate people meeting that should have that decision. And that decision has been taken. And the whole arm of Labour Party, from the national to the 36 states and Abuja to all the 774 local governments in Nigeria and all the wards in Nigeria, all of us are queuing behind the decision that was reached at Umuahia on 4th of September 2024. So our caretaker, National Caretaker Committee chairman is Senator Nenadi. And we are all working with her to have the party properly positioned to deliver what the party needs to deliver to Nigerians.
Okay, so what is the case of Callistus, who is also laying claim to the party leadership of the Labour Party, and he is also against this new caretakers and also against Abure's faction, so to speak. What can you say about him?
Whoever is laying claim on the leadership of the Labour Party right now, anybody who is laying claim on the leadership of the Labour Party is completely out of it. All of us, nobody is listening to that Callistus of a person. Nobody is even listening to him. As a matter of fact, in fact, if you call the name Callistus, 99% of the members of Labour Party, ordinary members of Labour Party, don't even know him. They don't know him.
So, okay. All right, you've made your point clear regarding Callistus. So let's talk about the way forward for you, since you say that your party is not in any form of crisis. But the reality is that a party that is going this path cannot really, get voters together to vote for them in elections. You've got the 2027 general elections coming up. You've also got Ondo and also Edo State governorship elections. So what's going to happen if this one is saying I'm the leader, this one is saying I'm the leader, and the other person is saying I'm the leader?
Concerning the person you call the Kaduna State Labour Party chairman, these are men who were inspired by Julius Abure to do his bidding. The same thing we have in Lagos State. In Lagos State right now, Pastor Dayo Ekong, excuse me, Pastor Dayo Ekong. Pastor Dayo Ekong installed by Abure on caretakership, which had expired and did not renew it, but instead keep parading herself as the Lagos State chairman of Labour Party. Not only that, also in the illegal get-together they had in Inewi, which they are calling convention, the same person emerged as the National Financial Secretary to Abure. And at the end of the day, it cares to tell you that both the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Constitution of the Labour Party holds that nobody can.
All right. Well, that's, I'm afraid, the much that we can take with you, Pastor Haruna, on the show today. Thank you so much for being with us to share your perspective on what's going on in the Labour Party.
Thank you so much. You're welcome.
Okay, so let's move forward. We have word that Peter Hassan from Kaduna State, the Labour Party chairman in Kaduna State, is with us via audio call. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, I have word that you are at a particular function. Thank you so much for taking our time to speak with us. Quickly, what is the way forward in all of this crisis? I know Honorable Haruna has said quite a lot about your faction. Of course, you are in line with Abure's faction. So, given the fact that you insist that there is still no crisis in your party earlier when we chatted, I mean, how are you going to resolve all of this moving forward? Because you have to be one house.
Read the party constitution. Even this station you are working with now, there is rules and regulation. My friend, if you go against the rule, they will fire you. Even though if you are the best presenter, if you go against the rules of engagement in this service, in this station you are working, you will be fired. It's a simple thing. It's a simple thing. And if you go a wrong way against the service provider, if Zoom find out that you are doing something contrary to what is their rules and regulation, you will be fired or they will block you. So the same thing for Peter Obi, Alex Oti, and any other person. They don't have a say in the party. They can only advise, suggest, but they cannot take a decision. The only person that takes decision is the National Working Committee, National Executive Council. These are people, and it's being led by who? Julius Abure and Umar Farouk, the National Chairman and National Secretary. So their decision doesn't stand. Now, if you want to say now, you are bringing a caretaker committee to come and conduct election, where do you put people like us that have spent over 15 years in the party? Put people like us that have spent over 15 years in the party. Where do you put people that have spent 20 years in the party? You will not keep them aside and bring people who just came last year to come and take over the party. If your father house, you go agree. If your father company, you go agree. If your own establishment, you go agree, my friend. Let's say the truth. The truth is one. Let's just say the truth. So whatever Peter Obi and whoever have done in Umaya does not hold water.
Okay, does not hold water. So what happens to Peter Obi now that he's working against the leadership which you're a part of that brought him into the power? And I will not say power right now because President Tinubu is president, but that brought him into the influential position, of course, under the platform of your party.
Politician, we expect that at the end of this kangaroo movement that he has done, he will walk away out of the party. It's a simple thing. He have done that for Abga. If Tinubu today, that is the president of Nigeria, for 8 years, Tinubu was a governor of Lagos State. Go and check his record. He planted people and bleed people everywhere. Tell me, call the name of 5 people that Peter Obi has built. In the political scene, call the name of 5 people. So in Abga, Peter Obi couldn't even sustain Abga as the only governor, the only elected governor of Abga. He couldn't sustain Abga. After 8 years, he exited the party. And he went to PDP. After a little while with PDP, he left PDP again and come to Labour. So it is a normal thing that he's a transitional politician. So we expect that after this transition that he is trying to do, if it doesn't work for him, he will walk away. And if it doesn't walk away, then he can come back like prodigal son with the party's mama, papa, pikin. So we are ready to forgive him and let him go and start afresh.
All right. So finally, before you go, the same question I asked Pastor Haruna. Do you see your party having a chance in the 2027 elections, also Ondo, Edo elections, and of course the local government elections that's happening, step by step in the states?
No, not at all. let me let you understand. This is not the first time that the Labour Party has come into limelight. It's not. During Dr. Nwanyahu, when he was the national chairman of Labour Party, we won some political seats. We won very good seats. We won governors. We won governors. We won House of Reps. We won senators. And after the whole scenario, as politics we eat, just like politicians, we always play their game. They left. Some of them left. Mimiko was a governor of Labour Party for 8 years, for 7 years. For 7 years. So you're talking about Kenneth Okonkwo. Who is Kenneth Okonkwo in Labour Party? When did Kenneth Okonkwo came to Labour Party? Kenneth Okonkwo come to Labour Party when Peter Obi, I think 6 months after Peter Obi got the ticket, that was when Kenneth Okonkwo came to Labour Party. So how can Kenneth Okonkwo now become something in Labour Party when he just joined Labour Party yesterday? How will he even come? Who is he? Is he a ward chairman? Is he a local government chairman? Is he a state chairman? He's not a major stakeholder. He's just a promoter of the party. And if a promoter says he will not promote your products again, even you people that are in the media, today, if you don't want this media house again, you will change another media house. Abi? So it's like that. So Kenneth Okonkwo is not a major stakeholder in Labour Party. He was just a participatory. So he came, he participated, he could not conquer, and he walked away. So it's a normal thing. We have seen the like of so many people who move from ACN and go to APP and CPC, and they move from CPC and ACN, they form APC. Some of them went to PDP, some of them came back to APC, some of them are going, they are doing floating and coming, going and coming, going and coming. So it's a normal thing in politics. This is the first time Kenneth Okonkwo is participating in politics. So he is still a student in politics. Kenneth Okonkwo is still a student in politics. So if he plays his game well, then he may get his cut-off mark and pass. But if he doesn't, he'll continue to have carryover.
All right. Well, Peter Hassan, that's so much we can take. So much on the show today. That's basically what we can take on the show tonight. Thank you so much for being with us. Peter Hassan is the Labour Party chairman in Kaduna State, joining us via audio call. And I'm afraid that's a wrap on the show. Thank you so much for watching tonight. Once again, my name is Mono Balagogo. Do remember that you can go to our website, www.ln247.news for news updates. Once again, I'm Mono Balagogo. Thank you for watching. See you next week.